Conservatives push back on Donald Trump for going after Governor Ron DeSantis, and Joy Reid blames Republicans for using the word inflation. All of that and more here on The Bald Brad Show. Welcome to The Bald Brad Show. It is Sunday, October 6th, and as always, support the show by hitting that like and subscribe button, as well as leaving your opinions in the comment section below on anything that we cover in today's episode. Your help and support would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, our lead story of the day is former President Donald Trump mocking Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over the weekend, calling him Ron DeSanctimonious at a rally in Pennsylvania. Now, both of these men are top contenders to be the Republican nomination. Donald Trump has left breadcrumbs that he's going to run in 2024, while Ron DeSantis has given no indicators that he does plan on, in fact, running in 2024. And I'm hearing boots on the ground in Florida that are avid listeners of The Bald Brad Show that the theory is that he is not going to run for presidency, that he's going to ride out his tenureship as governor. Then once Donald Trump is done, then he's going to step in and take the helm of the Republican Party and run for president then, which I think is the move. I don't think the move is to have a Trump-DeSantis ticket, nor do I think that you should have both of them running at the same time for the upcoming election, because they're both alphas, folks. They're going to be butting heads. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a fracture in the Republican Party because people are going to reminisce on what Trump said about DeSantis and DeSantis said about Trump, blah, blah, blah. And it only hurts us rather than advance what the Republican Party needs to do here. Well, what Trump did over the weekend does not advance the Republican Party. It actually hurts it. 3 days out of the midterms, he calls and mocks Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, calling him Ron DeSanctimonious, and this is him doing it at the rally.
Trump at 71, Ron DeSanctimonious at 10%, Mike Pence at 7. Oh, Mike's doing better than I thought.
I mean, look, I miss Trump. I like him. I will vote for him for a third time. Look at Mike Pence. Oh, Mike, I didn't think you'd do so well. I thought you'd be at least the bottom 10. Is it a huge jab at Ron? Not really, but it does have conservatives and mainstream conservatives and Republicans pushing back on this because of the timing of it all. He could have waited at least a week here. And it's tough even giving a nickname to Ron DeSantis because the guy's done nothing but winning. We're going to be winning so much, you're going to get tired of winning, as Trump used to say. A lot of Republicans love DeSantis. He's doing a great thing in Florida. But we have Matt Walsh here, the Daily Wire, writing a tweet saying, DeSantis is an extremely effective conservative governor who has had real policy wins and real cultural wins. Absolutely correct. Trump isn't going to be able to take this one down with a dumb nickname. He better have more than that up his sleeve. 100% agree. Walsh goes on to say, also, nice job launching your public attack against the most popular conservative governor in America 3 days before the midterms when we're all supposed to be showing united front. I 100% agree with this. You're going to have a soundbite now. Now you have a clip that's going to be ran on MSNBC, CNN, all these left-wing outlets, and they're going to go, look, the leader of the ultra MAGAs, right? The mega MAGA Republicans is attacking their own party and their own governor. This is what you're going to get from Congress. This is what you're going to get if you vote red these midterm elections. It does nothing but hurt us. This is not a good thing, but this is what happens when Trump kind of rambles and he's not on a teleprompter. He's just shooting from the hip. He says stuff like this. Now, is it terrible? No, but it's just terrible timing. It's bad optics. And just ahead, if Trump does win the presidency, folks, just because I vote for the guy doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and, oh, I'll be Trump. Everything's good on Trump. No. If he does something stupid, I'm going to call it out. If he does something good, I'm going to praise him. That's how it works on the Bald Brad Show. I try to be as authentic as I can. I love Trump. I like Trump. I love DeSantis. I like DeSantis. I want them both to just get along, but we all know what's going to happen here. Like I said, they're both alphas, and it could do a lot of damage to the Republican Party. Now, it wasn't just Walsh stepping in. You got another commentator saying, what an idiot. DeSantis is a far more effective leader than the right than Trump was. If that is, you expect a leader to get a lot done rather than just talking about it and owning the libs. There is some truth to that, but I mean, being a governor and president, it's obviously two separate things. When you have a conservative or Republican legislature, that is extremely helpful when you're governor, which I believe Ron DeSantis has, compared to when you have people in Congress. It's split, it's close. There's a lot of things that are just different there than necessarily at a state level. You also have Fox News contributor and editor at The Spectre, Ben Demenesh, said simply that Trump's nickname for DeSantis needs work. I do agree with that. There wasn't much there, which is why I think this is a little bit blown out of proportion. Many other influential figures on the right weighed in against Trump. You have somebody saying Trump couldn't wait 3 days. Bad-mouthing the most effective governor who's pushed nothing but conservative wins is a bad look for Trump. I do agree with that. No idea who he's taking advice from, but it's a bad advice. I don't think he's taking advice from people. Regardless, I think he just shot from the hip here, and he just came up with it. It's like, I'll use this against him. Maybe this was a nickname that he planned to come out in the week or two when he said he's going to basically say, hey, I'm running for presidency of 2024 or the Republican nomination, whatever it may be. And this was something he had planned. He just kind of shot it out with bad timing. This tells you everything about Donald Trump. Should not be the nominee in 2024. I disagree with that. Just because he says a nickname to somebody else, which he did in 2016, he called Ted Cruz Lying Ted and all this other stuff. It's nothing different. The problem is, like I said, ahead of the midterms, you're going to have people that were maybe wavering in their vote going, man, I remember this. I remember this guy name calling. He would never shut up. He couldn't keep his mouth shut. All these things. You know what? I'll vote blue. I'm not going to go red. I was going to go red until this came out. Now I'm going to vote blue. It does more damage than good. I mean, there's actually really nothing good that comes out of this other than the fact that people are going to look at it. They're going to run it on the airwaves left and right. And now all of a sudden we just lost votes. Quote from major GOP donor, quote, you've got Lindsey Graham campaigning with America First Trump endorsed candidates and hard right donors supporting Dr. Oz. The only a-holes attacking Republicans are Liz Cheney and Donald Trump. Look, that's two opposites, okay, folks? Liz Cheney and what she's done is drastically different than Donald Trump calling Ron DeSantis DeSanctimonious. I mean, that comes from Ryan Saavedra. I'm a fan of Ryan Saavedra. We've talked about his article. He is a writer on the Daily Wire. I think that's a little far and a little far-fetched. But hey, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And like I said, leave your opinions down below, as well as, hey, hit that like and subscribe button to support the show, folks. Trump's Saturday comments came as he was discussing current polling in 2024 primaries, which have shown Trump enjoying a huge lead. Hey, he's a huge lead. Yeah, big lead, folks. Big leads. Yeah, I see that, big leads. As presidential straw poll at Turning Point USA Student Action Summit found that basically 79% of attendees favor Trump to be the Republican nominee in 2024. That is a little bit skewed, right? You have a certain demographic that's in there. You have Charlie Kirk that run Turning Point USA. He's obviously a big Trump supporter. He pushes a lot of that in his communication. So it doesn't surprise me, those types of numbers. I think it's a little bit lower than that. Another straw poll at the Conservative Political Action Conference in August found that Trump had basically a 70% support from attendees to run in 2024. DeSantis came in basically 25%. And again, I think you're going to see that gap narrow if DeSantis does, in fact, plan on running in 2024. DeSantis is a way better speaker than Trump, folks. Not as comedic, but way better speaker, knows when to say the right things, knows how to debate. I think Trump lacks in his debating skills. We saw that twice now with Hillary and then Joe Biden. Nevertheless, DeSantis has carried the victory in 2024 primary polls, at least some of the polls. A survey of Republicans in New Hampshire saw that the governor take a thin lead over Trump at a potential Republican party in June, at least a Republican primary nomination. The poll showed basically 40% of likely Republican primary voters in the Granite State would support the first-term governors, the 37% backing the former president in that same poll. Now, this is in New Hampshire, right? So take it as a grain of salt. It doesn't extrapolate out to the rest of the country. Certain areas are different in their voting and what they would actually look for in a certain nominee. So, like I said, take it as a grain of salt, but it doesn't look good for Trump to come out and go after Ron DeSantis like that ahead of the midterm elections. I want to know what you guys think about that one in the comments below. Does it bother you that Trump did that, even though you're a Trump supporter? Again, I'm a Trump supporter, folks, but we need to know just because we're Trump supporters doesn't mean that he's holier than thou, that we're going to bow down to him. Like I said, when he does something wrong, we're going to bash him. When he does something good, we're going to praise him. And that's how we should always be. We're not beholden to these people, folks. And like I said, just because I voted for the guy does not mean I'm going to sway with everything that he does, and not everything that he does is good. Moving into our second story of the day, Joy Reid is back in the news once again. She says no one used the word inflation until Republicans taught them what it means to damage Democrats, folks. This one is really unbelievable. You can't miss it. As always, hit that like and subscribe button. Support the Bald Brad Show. Your help and support would be greatly appreciated. MSNBC anchor Joy Reid said that no one used the word inflation until Republicans taught them what it means in order to damage Democrats. Folks. It shows you how far away the Democrats are in terms of like having anything to run on, because they're literally attacking Republicans for using the word inflation when inflation's at a 40-year high. This is so unbelievable. Let's go ahead and roll it.
The only people I ever hear use the word inflation are journalists and economists, right? So that is not part of the normal lexicon of the way people talk. So it's interesting that Republicans are doing something they don't normally do, right? Which is not use the common tongue, right? Not use just common English to sort of do on their campaigns like they're doing with crime. But what they've done is they've taught people the word inflation, right?
Yeah.
Most people who would have never used that word ever in their lives are using it now because they've been taught it, including on TV, including in newspapers. They've been taught this word, and they sort of wrap this word around whatever it is that they really want to vote, the reasons they really want to vote. People.
Jeez Louise, huh? Talking about bottom of the barrel issues. God forbid Republicans are educating Americans on inflation and what it means, but they don't want you to see that. They don't want you to focus and know what it means. They want you to be dumb, you guys, so that you continue to vote Democrat. At least they might have had a little bit of something on January 6th, but now they're complaining the fact that you guys were teaching them words that they need to know in terms of what to vote for, and we're teaching about inflation on how it impacts them. God forbid you actually help people. Well, the Biden administration has tried to explain away high inflation by blaming the Russian war. Remember, it's the Putin's price hike, right? And then they're also blaming the supply chain issues caused by the global lockdowns. And that was a response to the COVID-19 pandemic. You notice they never bring up the stimulus checks that they just threw out there like hotcakes to everybody else that increased inflation, just pumped the economy full of money. They've done it numerous amounts of times. Even on a state level, you got people like Gavin Newsom, who's a Democrat governor in California, where I live. That's just taking a shellacking on the state. He's going to hand out people gas cards to help curb inflation. Let that one sink in. You got rising gas prices. Energy's up like 34%. That's going to go up even further because we're going to have a massive diesel shortage here in the coming week. It's just thing after thing here. However, polling shows that a plurality of Americans blame Biden's high spending policies for the damaging rise in prices, which is why he's not talking about it, which is why Karine Jean-Pierre on the podium will sit there and spin anything and everything and blame it on MAGA Republicans somehow, even though they hold all three branches of government, even though it's been them running the show. They can't even figure out the freaking southern border for over 2 years. They've been calling it a challenge. Hell, they can't even figure out inflation. You got the Federal Reserve doing, 0.75% every so often? It's basically doing nothing. So Biden can't figure it out. Things are only going to get worse. In May, Steve Ratner, who worked for the Obama administration, admitted that most economists were saying Biden's spending was like tossing gasoline onto a fire in relation to inflation. He doesn't see it that way. This is just redistribution of wealth. He called a bunch of people that were basically protesting against him. They're a bunch of pro-life advocates as well as people saying that he's pushing socialism. He called them idiots for saying that he's going to push socialism. You've literally been pushing socialist ideas. There's actual socialists in the Democrat Party named AOC and Bernie Sanders, and you're going to blame Republicans for everything. It's unbelievable. You're the most socialist group out there. There's nothing compared to socialism in terms of the Republican Party or conservatives. We don't want that. We don't want bigger government. We don't want redistribution of wealth, but that's what you want because that's what you're pushing. But you're going to blame us for just educating people on inflation. The Democrat Party, it just shows you they want you to say stupid. They think that you're stupid. We see that on The View all the time. They just were name calling everybody. They want you to not know these things so you vote Democrat, so you stay on a metaphorical plantation and you can never get out of it. But once you start reading, once you start educating yourself even further on their ideology, not saying you weren't educated before, but on their ideology and the things that they do, like inflation, on just pumping money out like it's hotcakes, not wanting to increase domestic oil production so energy is cheaper, you're paying 34%, not looking at those things, trying to go to Saudi Arabia to get more oil, trying to go to Venezuela to get more oil. I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things, but when you can be self-sufficient on oil here in America by increasing more drilling rather than trying to make the freaking fossil fuel industry obsolete, which is words from Joe Biden, maybe people would take you a little bit more seriously, but you're going to attack us for this type of stuff, which just shows you they have nothing to run on. They don't have a damn clue. It's not going to stop Joy Reid from doing what she's doing. It's not going to stop CNN from coming out and trying to bash Republicans. They're bashing us literally for commenting on Nancy Pelosi's story, which literally outlets have got wrong time and time and time again. It first came out, there's this deranged guy, this mega Republican that's a pro-Trump supporter, went after Pelosi, and then they tried to attach it to January 6th. You guys remember all that? They literally said that the zip ties and duct tape were the same as those that were at January 6th that freaking infiltrated the Capitol. He must be a MAGA Republican. Turns out the guy's part of the Green Party. You don't want to mention that in any of your articles. Not to mention that he has a Black Lives Matter poster in his window. He has a gay pride flag out back hanging from a tree, which is not a mega MAGA Republican or ultra MAGA, whatever the hell you want to call us Republicans. That's not what we side with. We don't go with that. If you want to be gay, go be gay. If you want to be trans. Just don't implement that upon kids and try to indoctrinate them in the school system. But it's amazing how they're all for indoctrinating kids on gender theory, pronouns, all this stuff, having corporations like Disney injected into your kids. But we actually teach people real things that really matter, like inflation, and all of a sudden it's a bad thing. So it's good when you want to trans kids. It's good when you want to sit there and give them hormone blockers, puberty enhancers, or puberty blockers, hormone enhancers, vice versa. You know, take off their breast, take off their genitals, you know, castrate them. That's all good. No, it's okay to educate people on that front and get them all confused and stuff. That's fine. Any adolescents, by the way, like 12-year-olds. But when you teach Americans inflation, how economics works, what the Democrat Party's platform is to hurt you and what they have been doing compared to what the Republicans want to do to help you, God forbid you do something like that, folks. God forbid. But this is what they have. This is all they have, which is why they're going to get shellacked here come Tuesday and Wednesday. This is why the red wave is coming. Make sure you get out and vote, because these knuckleheads want to put other knuckleheads in office, meaning Democrats and progressive left, that actually are socialists, like AOC, like Bernie Sanders, like the Squad, and want to implement socialist ideas and run this country right into the ground. And people go, well, that's a little extreme. Look at what Joe Biden's doing, folks. Look at the way this guy's been running the show. Look at the way Congress has been running the show. They all suck. They all need to be out. We got to get to the polls and make a difference here in America and take America back, save America, and make America great again, folks. As always, support the show by hitting that like and subscribe button, leaving your opinions down below on anything that we covered in today's episode. And folks, I'll see you tomorrow here on The Ball Brad Show.